Kirby Puckett was an all-star in each of his last 10 MLB seasons. A two-time World Series winner for the Minnesota Twins, one of the most popular and beloved players in baseball and in Twins history. And he was considered one of the best personalities in baseball. And then, he woke up one day and was physically unable to play baseball at all. It was the beginning of Kirby Puckett losing that entire reputation. A decade after that, he was dead. And his legacy has never been the same since. This is how a beloved first ballot Hall of Famer lost it all. More than once. Kirby Puckett should have gone down as a happy-go-lucky underdog story. He was drafted in the January MLB draft of 1982, which, if you don't know what that is, it's totally fine. They don't even do it anymore because it was just that much of an afterthought anyway. He was a 5'8" center fielder out of a JUCO in Illinois. Not exactly the most common archetype for future Hall of Famers. I mean, the Minnesota media would later compare his body to a fire hydrant and he's in the Hall of Fame. I'd compare my baseball playing body to like Larry the Lobster if he took whatever steroids they gave Jose Canseco, so like, where's my Hall of Fame plaque? He came up a little over 2 years after that Fugazi January draft and managed to accrue more than 3 whole wins worth of added value to the Twins without hitting a single homer. That's how strong the other elements of his game were right from day one. So when he eventually blossomed into a 20 to 30 home run hitter without losing the other good traits, he became a superstar. 10-time All-Stars who hit 32% above league average for that 10-year span tend to be really, really good players. But this was also a 6-time Gold Glove Award-winning center fielder that batted .318 for his career. There are very few players ever who played like Kirby Puckett. Similarity score is a metric where, to compare two players' careers, you start at 1,000 as a value and subtract points little by little for differences in their stats. I'd say about 950 or higher is a really strong comparison. Anything under 900 is a reach, at best. Nobody at all in the entire history of baseball has come within a 900 similarity score of Kirby Puckett. He had one-of-a-kind stats. He was also just seen as a great, personable guy. He routinely hosted a charity pool tournament, he established a scholarship to provide more opportunities to students of color, received a lifetime award for his community service work, and was beloved by nearly everyone in baseball. The baseball writers routinely rewarded his seasons with upper-end MVP award voting, although he never actually took home the award. Fans loved him, as demonstrated by how often they voted him into being an All-Star Game starter. And in Minnesota, oh man, had they never seen anyone like him. He's still the franchise's all-time hits leader since they started play in Minnesota. And he was the face of 2 championship teams, with a signature World Series moment with the season on the line. A loss for the Twins in this game means they're done. So Kirby Puckett came to the rescue.
Very high and deep to left center. Back is Puckett. He's at the fence. He leaps up. He caught it. Oh, what a catch! Kirby Puckett with a great grab in left center field. Puckett in left center actually climbed the wall.
Oh wait, you thought that was the signature moment? Literally later in the same game.
Into deep left center from Mitchell, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Yes! 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 And a chance. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
First of all, I'd like to have all the players to tip my hat to the fans. We got the greatest fans in the world. Thank you!
And this is the best there is, and we're the best. This is it.
This is a man who had all the makings of an inner circle, unforgettable baseball player. And after his career-defining World Series game, he kept his good play up for the next few years. When his 1995 season ended with a jaw-breaking fastball, he still came back to prep for 1996 like business as usual. And entering 1996 as a 36-year-old, he was still scorching hot as a hitter. This was still a superstar. Until one day, less than a week before opening day, the absolutely unthinkable happened. Kirby Puckett woke up without vision in his right eye. At first, it was just really blurry, but as the day went along, it got worse to the point of being blind in the eye. He was soon diagnosed with glaucoma, landing him on the shelf with injury for the first time in his entire career. Getting hit in the jaw technically only kept him out for 2 games because of how late it was in the season. Losing his vision before ever coming back was what really did him in. And the saddest part is that this fastball to his face was the last official pitch he ever saw, and then his career was taken away before getting to undo that memory. A baseball player, let alone one even remotely close to Puckett's popularity status or career success, suddenly losing their vision and being unable to play because he literally cannot see is just unfathomable. It's a horrible reminder of how fragile our lives are and how every second of every day is a blessing. Things can change in your life between seconds. It's that easy and can be that drastic. He woke up a handful of days before what should have been his 13th MLB season, and his life was never ever the same. Forget baseball. Like, nothing in life is the same when you just suddenly can't see out of one of your eyes. They tried desperately to restore the vision in his eye. 3 surgeries over the next few months later, nothing. Reality was setting in. Kirby Puckett's life was never going back to the way it was. On July 12th, roughly 3.5 months after losing his vision, he retired.
People thought I'd never do anything. And here I am sitting in front of you guys, and the only sad thing is the only regret I have about this game at all is that I know I could have done so much better if I could have played. And I'm proud to say that I'm a Minnesota Twin. You know how some people say they bleed the Yankee pinstripes or the Dodger blue? Well, whatever you want to call this, I wore 1 uniform in my career. And I'm proud to say that. It's a tough day for me because I can't sit here and lie to you and say that I'm not going to miss the game, because I am. I've missed it ever since March 28th when I haven't been able to perform. I've been a Minnesota Twin for this is my 13th year, and I'm proud to say that I've played with a lot of pride and a lot of class and integrity when I put the uniform on. And that's the part I'm going to miss the most.
The shot of a future Hall of Famer having to completely cover one of his eyes in a previously unthinkable retirement press conference while still being a really good ball player right before the sudden vision loss occurred, that's a powerful shot. You never forget seeing something like this. This was a little before I was born, but I can't imagine what it was like as a baseball fan. I lived through Prince Fielder having to abruptly retire because of neck injuries, and doing his retirement press conference in a neck brace. This is an even more harrowing version of that. I am not a medical professional. My specialty is more baseball players with funny names. The way it seems to have been reported from Kirby's perspective is that one day, he woke up and his right eye's vision was gone. Simple as that. Specialists believe he had untreated glaucoma that built up over time, and that in the wake of Kirby's story, plenty of patients called in to get tested just to be sure they weren't like that. Fear struck those who knew the story that, like Kirby Puckett, they could lose the simplest things right in the snap of a finger. Kirby Puckett went from a beloved baseball star to being forced to live out his days in retirement blind in one eye. And it came out of nowhere for him, even if it was slowly building up the whole time off the radar. He was such a fun-loving guy that when he got to the Twins clubhouse that morning, insisting he could not see, people thought he was joking. But when it became all too real that he wasn't joking, and the specialist they rushed him to said no, this is not treatable because it wasn't caught early enough, they kept this under wraps publicly as long as they could. The story on opening day was just like, Kirby Puckett's gonna miss some time, he's got vision problems. That was their spin. Little did we know that a family history of glaucoma was completely unbeknownst to him, and the public eventually caught up to the devastation that I've been laying out for you the last few minutes. Puckett was immediately named an executive vice president of the team. They also retired his number not too long later. And then the Twins were in for some brutal next few years, to the point where MLB briefly considered removing them from the league altogether. No, like actually. In 2001, he was voted a first ballot Hall of Famer. He appeared to be a symbol of hope in the wake of this unfortunate tragedy. A good guy who had a bad thing happen to him, and at least publicly, was not letting it shake him.
So I don't worry about
When I come in, I don't feel like an outsider. The only thing I still can't do, I can't play. And my life isn't over. I mean, baseball's over, sure enough. And I'm going to miss the hell out of it. I can't lie to you, said I'll miss it. But life has to go on at one point or another. Everybody has to. It's inevitable. Nobody plays baseball forever.
Thanks for the memories, Kirby.
He claimed that he never cried or sulked. He claimed that he was thankful for his career happening at all and his new purpose in giving glaucoma more public awareness, considering a future Hall of Famer in his mid-30s could still suffer from it. But not long later, he would lose that reputation too. And the story of Kirby Puckett would never be the same.
At this time, I have so many people to thank. First of all, I'd like to thank my beautiful wife, putting up with me for 11 years now.
Do you have a side that people shouldn't see? Don't test me on this area because this is one of the things that I don't want to share. Is there a dark side to you, or are you pretty even keel and everything? Well, I hope I don't get to that point. I mean, maybe you can ask my wife. Maybe she can tell you more. But
Several months after Kirby's Hall of Fame induction, we learned of his wife accusing him of long-time abuse. Kirby had a history of violence in their relationship, and that didn't just go for him and his wife. It also extended to a mistress of 18 years who outlined Kirby's private cynicism that contrasted heavily with his public strength, and also outlined an increased propensity for misbehavior. If it wasn't violence against women, it was supposedly driving up to shopping center parking lots and peeing in front of people, or trying to have sex with a mistress in his office at the Twins headquarters, or settling a lawsuit for sexual harassment of a Twins employee. A Sports Illustrated report didn't quantify how many affairs Kirby had, but simply used the word many. He had to step away from his upcoming pool tournament in light of this controversy, but oh man, was the trouble only beginning. The following year, he stood trial for groping a different woman in a restaurant bathroom. He was ultimately found not guilty in a case that in 2003 came down to he said, she said. For better or for worse, who knows what this would have been like if we had cell phone cameras. But what is certain is that his reputation took an insurmountable dive from this. Those who knew him from baseball were horrified by what they were seeing. Horrified by the Kirby Puckett they now saw versus the one they loved for over a decade. There was public speculation that he simply could not handle the abrupt loss of his career, which doesn't justify any of his actions for what it's worth. He also ballooned to be about 300 pounds, which at his 5'8" height made him very, very obese. And it created genuine fear for his well-being, both publicly and in private. Look, you don't just simply say,
I'm gonna get fat now.
Something was very, very wrong here, as was made very clear by his actions. It took a while for the Twins to admit it. They offered him a cushy 6-figure salary job even during the time when his name was being scandalized and he was the one who turned them down on that job. But time eventually caught up to him when he was not kept by the Twins in that executive vice president job. He lived alone in a condominium after his divorce was finalized, and he soon left the public eye altogether. At the age of 45, just a couple weeks before the 10-year anniversary of when he woke up without sight in his eye, Kirby Puckett died. A cerebral hemorrhage due to hypertension was listed as the cause of death. Former teammates flew in to be there for him as he died, along with family. He didn't even get to have his funeral to its fullest, as a blizzard limited the amount of people who could attend. Even the weather was hindering preservation of Kirby's legacy. But over 15,000 people still made the trip anyway to his memorial. People also showed their support at a physical memorial at the Dome Kirby won 2 World Series for the Twins in, likely still grappling with his public fallout in their grief. But what we do know is this. Kirby Puckett went to bed one night, one of the most well-liked players of his era, still cruising to success. It was the last time he ever held that perfect, flawless image. Over the next few years, he lost his career, his vision, his health, his wife, his subsequent job, and his reputation, before being, at the time, the second youngest Hall of Famer to die, just like that. There are many ways to view Kirby Puckett. I choose to see it through this lens. He's a man who lost it all, literally, in the blink of an eye. He's not even talked about much to future generations of fans outside Minnesota, and maybe that's deserved, but for a first-ballot Hall of Famer 2-time champion center fielder, that may be unprecedented. And awareness of this story, beginning, middle, and end, feels very low. That's the weird part to me, that this happened to someone like Kirby Puckett, and a lot of people just don't know about it. I also see him as a case of being wary of your heroes. Those in the baseball industry tend to solely focus on the player he was, without any mention of his career ending or what came after, which is honestly just as eerie as anything else here. Publicly, this guy was as beloved as can be, and for good reason based on the side of himself the world saw. Privately, anything but. And he died before he ever had the chance to right the ship of his life as an elder, or make amends with the people, fans, or sport his post-career actions hurt. I do believe there is good to draw from this story, though, to carry on in my own life, and I hope this winds up being the main takeaway. Things really can change in an instant. Even things you've never thought about losing, they can go away too. Someone the world came to know as a hero lost it all, and it seemed to weigh on him and cost him. That's the shame of the story. Whether you choose to view him as a fallen hero or a cautionary tale, there is meaning you can pull from this story and make it not be totally forgotten. You can mourn his loss, or you can learn something from him. Don't live your life afraid of losing something. Be a good person who values what they do have and enjoys the beauty of each and every day they do have in their blessed life. Even when he lost it all, Kirby Puckett did know that, and wanted you to know it too.
Just don't take it for granted, because you never know. Tomorrow's not promised to any of us. Anything can happen to any of us, whether we're reporters or whatever we may be. Anything can happen. So enjoy yourself. And I love you all. Thank you very much.